What's up, everyone? This is Ken, and welcome to episode 2 of Gotta Watch 'Em All, the Pokemon podcast. I am joined by my wife, Melissa. What's going on?
Hey.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
So, we're already off the rails, guys. This intro has taken about 15 takes to start, to get down, and Melissa can't stop laughing. So, this is going to be fun.
It's not me. It's totally you. I don't know what...
So, we just got done watching episode 2. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, but first want to see just what's going on, what you've been up to. How are you?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm fantastic.
Okay.
I'm fantastic.
So what have you been doing lately?
I've been baking some cakes and playing some Pokémon GO.
So we've been on this ridiculous Pokémon GO binge the past 48 hours.
Yeah.
Friday night, we're recording this Saturday night. We should say when we're recording this. Today, this is Saturday night. August 6th. We got to document that. That's a podcast thing.
Okay.
All right, so it's Saturday, August 6th. We went out last night, Friday, to Keyport, New Jersey waterfront. So it's a really nice little town in New Jersey. And they had a Pokemon GO event. There was probably 300 people.
Yeah, there was a lot of people.
There was like 300 people there. It's an waterfront park. And it was great. They had food and snacks and music, and all the vendors, all the local businesses were kind of in on it. They did a viewing of Pokemon movie, the first Pokemon movie, which was awesome, right on the waterfront on a big inflatable screen. But this whole strip right on the waterfront was awesome. There was probably 15 Pokestops within like a 15-minute walking circuit.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. And every single one had lures the entire night. And we crushed it. We picked up a lot of new...
Yeah, Pinsers and...
Pinsir. What else did we get? I got a Tangela.
Yeah, which I didn't get.
Our son got it as well. You did not get it.
I did not get it because I was having glitches with my phone. I wanted to break it.
She was swollen.
I was having Poke Rage.
She had major Poke Rage. It was bad. But yeah, we picked up a whole... it's probably about a half an hour from where we live... but in the same kind of waterfront area, but we were getting tons of new Pokemon, like, that we don't normally see on a daily basis. And our normal, like, Pidgey, Weedle stuff, it just wasn't going, it wasn't there. It was replaced by Magikarps, which is awesome.
Yeah, tons of Magikarp.
Tons of Magikarp and,
Poliwhirls.
Yeah, there was Poliwhirl everywhere. It was really good. It was good. There was, a lot of good pickups, and everyone was, I've never seen so many diehard fans. It reminded me of like a sporting event. I'm not a sporting person, but
there was people wearing team shirts, like the
like
team
crazy,
Mystic.
like crazy, like Valor, like the only team that matters. So it was funny because like there was so many people wearing Team Mystic stuff, and the Valor people all were kind of like just giving each other the nod and stuff like that. But there was some hardcore Team Instinct, yellow going on. And they were the underdogs, but
they are the underdogs.
But it was funny because they were all grouping together, and they actually held the one gym for a decent amount of time with a Slow King, I think was in there.
I'm not sure,
but it was good. The gyms were getting traded off the whole night. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. A lot of people came in costume with their dressed up with their kids, and it was a lot of fun. It was awesome. Michelle Knotts, who's the voice of Jessie in the Pokemon anime from 2006 to 2015, was there doing an appearance, doing signing cards and stuff like that. So that was really cool. But it was an awesome event. And I hope you guys are able to experience that in your local area. There's people that are organizing this stuff because the town was involved. The local authorities were awesome. They were all hanging out and in the spirit, and it was a lot of fun. It was really cool. And that was last night. And then today, I don't know what happened today. We kind of wanted to go hit a couple stops because at this event last night, we crushed our inventory. Yeah.
It was like...
No Pokeballs.
We were tapped out. Like, I left with 7 Pokeballs, 0 Great Balls, and only like 20 Ultra Balls left.
Yeah, and I had like... less than 10 of each one.
So it was like today's mission was going to be just hit a couple Pokestops and restock. Just do gyms and stuff like that. So we went for like a 5-minute ride, and it ended up turning into 4.5 hours.
4 hours later.
It was. We went to like 5 different towns. It was nuts. We found a Charmander nest, which was really cool because my son is a Charizard freak. So we gotta...
Yeah, we're gonna go back there.
You gotta hit that up. But we picked up, a couple new Pokemon as well. There was Squirtles around. Who else did we get? There was Poliwrath. There was Wild Poliwraths. There was Mankeys. So 4.5 hours. It was awesome. It was like we were doing the thing where...
but we didn't even realize that, honestly, that we were out for that long. Until Josh said to us...
Dude, I peed in a porta potty. I was like, I gotta pee, man. It's been hours.
No, Josh said to us, man, I just gotta get out and stretch my legs. I was just like, all right, there's a park. Let's stop. Look, there's a Pokestop. Perfect.
It was like we drove 2 states away. That's how long we were in the car. It was hilarious. It was like pouring rain at one point. We didn't care. So
we were in the car, so
it was awesome. It's amazing what this game has done for our family. It was really cool. It reminded me of playing a console game, and you keep dying, and you're doing like the whole like one more turn, one more try. Yeah. And it was just like, all right, one more Pokespot. All right, let's walk back. Let me just walk 10 feet back and grab this last Pokestop, and it wouldn't stop. Like,
and then we were just like, well, really quick. Now that you got this one, like I see just like 2 more blocks up. There's 3 Pokestops like right next to each other. So like we'll just hit up those ones and then we'll go home.
She was using the app Pokemon Go as nav. Our nav, and you're like go up 3 blocks and make a right. Then there's gonna be 2 Pokestops and then make a left. It was hilarious. So we've been losing our minds with Pokemon Go. And we're going to be doing... I'm going to be releasing a video next week about this really cool idea I have to do a Pokemon Go kind of metagame tournament where, you guys would submit pictures of certain screens from the game. I would compile the data, put people on a leaderboard type thing, open to everybody, free. And that way we can recognize some of these top trainers that are out there because, we saw a level 30 trainer in a gym today. Mm-hmm. That was the highest, Pokemon trainer I've seen out in the wild, but people are going bananas with it. So it's a lot of fun. All right, so let's get into this episode. So we watched episode 2. The title of the episode is Pokemon Emergency. The original air date was September 9th, 1998. So this was a long time ago. This episode seemed very short. Like it was 20, 21 minutes, but it went way faster, it seemed, than episode 1, right?
Yeah, well, I think episode 1 was a lot more engaging. This one was kind of like, I don't know.
They had to do like a lot of, they were trying to put like the welcomes and the introductions behind them and get right into the story. So a lot happened really fast, and it was kind of over before you knew it, but... Episode starts out with Ash arriving at Viridian City. Pikachu's all banged up. Ash is banged up too. And the first scene they show, the town is already on high alert with kind of this wanted poster of Jesse and James. So
they don't really show their faces.
It's kind of this super outlaw-y looking wanted poster. And then Ash runs into town with the beat up Pikachu and runs into Officer Jenny, and they have a really cool little interaction. She's got a very short skirt.
She does have a short skirt.
Really it's long so funny legs. With really long legs. It's like, man, like those legs are as tall as Ash. It just looked really weird. The funny thing is, you got to remember, Ash is 10 years old, so he's like, I just got to get to the Pokemon Center, and Officer Jenny's asking for ID, and he's like, ID? I don't have any ID. But we come to learn, and we get introduced through, is the Pokedex is actually linked to Ash. Officer Jenny sees the Pokedex, opens it up. It identifies Ash. It identifies the Pokedex's own AI as someone named Dex that was programmed by Professor Oak to help guide and share information with Ash on his journey to, catch them all. So that was pretty cool. So with that verified, they jump on a sidecar motorcycle and she starts barreling through town to get to she rips it to get to the Pokemon Center, which is it kind of drops Ash's jaw a little bit when he sees how big it is, and then she does this wicked jump up the steps on the bike and she's into a drift and does this skid for 50 feet,
and it's just gnarly trick, and then boom, right into the Poke Center.
Yeah, it's awesome. Right through the front door. Ash jumps out with this beat up Pikachu and sees Nurse Joy. So this is the first time we're seeing Nurse Joy, which is hilarious because not too soon after we see her Chansey nurses. which are hilarious.
Just so cute.
They're super cute. But they have the nurse hat on, you know?
Big egg. You're just so cute.
So immediately Nurse Joy starts laying into Ash a little bit about, you know, what's wrong with you? Why are you letting your Pokemon battle in this state? And she, like, kind of shuts him down, doesn't even let him speak.
Yeah. He was like, well, let me explain. She's like, no, I'll take him.
I'll take care of it.
Let me take him.
So, before you know it, she storms out. She just pieces out. And she goes through the doors, and the sliding doors open and close, and Ash is just kind of, like, left there, like, what the heck is going on? So that was pretty funny. So now all this is happening within, like, 3 minutes in the episode. Like, this is happening, like, super fast. They're in the Pokemon Center. Pikachu gets taken away. The door shuts behind them. Everyone's kind of standing there. And then Misty shows up.
Actually, before Misty shows up, Ash sees
the
telephone. He decides to give Mom a call because he's obviously sitting there in the waiting room waiting for Pikachu. And he's all worried. Right. So he decides to give a call home to Mom. And, of course, his interaction with Mom is so classic. Mom, she gets the call. And she's standing there in her robe. She just got out of the shower. She's got a towel on her head. She sees the phone ring. And just like any other mom would do, she's got to rip the towel off her head before she answers the phone. Because God forbid someone see her.
They have video phones.
They do have video phones.
1998, they're FaceTiming with a handset. You know, they're still talking on the handset, which is funny. But, so he calls home and explains to Mom that he's already at the Viridian City Pokemon Center. Ash's mom mentions that Ash's dad, who was also a Pokemon trainer, and she just runs through the normal mom routine of, you know, are you okay? Are you changing your underwear? You know, okay, bye. You know, and that was
love you, bye-bye.
Yeah, that was it. So, and then 2 seconds later, the phone rings at the Pokemon Center. Ash answers, and Professor Oak is on the other end, and he explains that Ash's mom had already called him to say that Ash was already in Viridian City. And the interaction with Professor Oak is kind of weird.
Very weird, because, like, I couldn't understand if Professor Oak knew he was calling Ash at the Poke Center, or if he accidentally just called the Poke Center and then Ash answered and then realized, like,
it was like,
I just talked to your mom.
It was like he butt dialed him or something. It was weird.
Weird dialogue.
It was a weird dialogue, a weird exchange. But then, like, immediately, what's pretty cool is Ash had saw this big plaque on the wall that had 4 Pokemon, and it had the legendaries on it. So it had, you know, Articuno, Zapdos, Moltres, and it also had Arcanine in there, which is pretty cool. But when he sees the Articuno, he kind of has this flashback in his head, and he sees the Ho-Oh from episode 1, and he's like, that's it, that's the Pokemon that I saw. So he immediately tells Professor Oak this, and Professor Oak's like, nah.
Nah, he shuts him down.
He's like, that's impossible.
Yeah, there's no way that you could have seen that Pokemon.
But again, now Ash thinks Ho-Oh is Articuno, and Professor Oak is thinking that Ash is saying he found an Articuno or saw an Articuno. So it's like this double layer of confusion there. But Professor Oak just plays it off because he's like, there's no way you saw an Articuno, let alone, you know, Ash is really talking about a Ho-Oh, so which is even more rare. So that ends, and that's when Misty comes in. So Misty comes in mad.
Very mad.
And she's got this busted up bike.
It's like completely petrified black.
It's
like
charred black, like little, like, you know, smoke lines coming off it. And she's hollering.
Mad.
She's ripping. You know, she's got the big mouth, you know, opening up, like just putting Ash on blast. You know, doesn't want to hear it. And he's trying to defend himself and say, I just had to get Pikachu to the Pokemon Center. She doesn't want to hear it. And then finally he gets a couple words out and she realizes that it's a serious situation and Pikachu's in real bad shape. So she shifts from being all, you know, mad at Ash to
being concerned
about Pika. And right at that moment, Nurse Joy and the Chansey nurses roll out Pikachu. And he has this ridiculous light bulb hat with some electrodes and some copper wire and stuff like that, which looks hilarious, with this blinking light. And, you know, it's just like, oh, you know, Nurse Joy's trying to make him, you know, feel better. Everything's going to be fine. Leave it up to me. You know, Pikachu has to rest. And finally she says, you know, you should go in there with him to comfort Pikachu. And right at that moment, you hear the alarm sound. voice comes on the speaker. Hey, there's some Pokemon thieves and a big balloon coming into town. If you have Pokemon, be careful. And of course, now this is going to be the introduction and the first time that we see or hear from Team Rocket.
Yes.
And this is awesome because I'm a huge Team Rocket person. I just loved their dynamic and, the outfits and, the flair and all that stuff. So this is the first time we see them, and then they're flying above the Pokemon Center in the Meowth balloon, which is classic Meowth balloon. I just loved it. It's so ridiculous. And it's very interesting, and we were talking about this through the episode, it's super interesting to hear the voice talent, like their voices in this early, in their first time on screen, because it's not the voice I remember.
No, and I think it's because the characters aren't fully developed yet. Like they need to, they haven't come into their personalities completely yet, because Jessie, she's there, but James, he was a lot more toned down than he normally is. Like in the later episodes, he gets some really great flair to him.
Yeah, but Meowth sounded weird. Like that's what you first had said. You were like, "Wait, Meowth sounds funky."
Yeah.
Like to the point where after the episode, we went on IMDb to confirm that the voice actors in this episode were ones that continued, and they did. So they definitely we'll see a transition over time of how their voices changed. But I remember going back and watching Simpsons season 1, and it's all the same voice actors, and they sound totally different. They sound totally weird. So Team Rocket comes in, and their intent, of course, is to steal all the Pokemon. But they have this big grand entrance. They break in through the glass in the ceiling. They throw a Coughing and Ekans down, and Coughing just like hotboxes the whole Pokemon Center and fills the entire Pokemon Center with smoke. And Ekans is like they kind of go.
They just start trashing,
but like on the computers and stuff.
Yeah, they start
breaking up the computers.
Totally trashing the place.
So they're trashing the joint. And Ash is like, "What is going on? Like, who are these people?" And that's when we finally get the famous Team Rocket motto, which is awesome because it was so cool to see like that original animation of them kind of, the sliding back and forth, kind of doing their whole thing. And that motto became iconic. I mean, I don't even know how many episodes over time that they've said that, but
it's not. I mean, it obviously changes throughout the episodes, because in this episode, Meowth didn't have his little cameo version, because usually Meowth says "That's right."
He said "That's right," didn't he?
I don't think so.
All right, tell us in the comments.
I'm pretty sure Meowth doesn't say "That's right." And
there's a dude with a Meowth like fan, like a banner going, "He said it." He's yelling at you.
I hope so. And
but he's either way. It was cool to hear the intro. It was cool to hear the motto, and immediately the Pokemon Center goes into this crazy lockdown mode, and we see this bizarre technology. Where Nurse Joy is trying to, of course, get everyone to escape and get everyone to safety, but they have this Pokeball transport system where they can transport the Pokeballs from one Pokemon Center in one town to another. So she gets on this computer, and this claw comes out, and it's picking up Pokeballs off the wall and puts them in this funky conveyor belt machine and calls up Pewter City Pokemon Centers like, "Pokemon balls incoming!" And they just teleport.
Yeah.
The Pokeballs teleport to the other gym for safety.
But before she gets to do that, actually, Ekans and Coughing wind up knocking out the electricity to the building. God,
yes.
And she goes, "No problem, we have Pika powers." They're running from Coughing and Ekans. Ash, Nurse Joy, and Misty, they dip into this side room. Electricity goes off. Nurse Joy says, "Don't worry, we have Pika power." And all of a sudden, there's a Pikachu train running around in a circle, singing a little Pikachu. Pika, Pika, choo, choo, Pika, Pika, choo, choo. It's the cutest thing ever, and the Pikachus bring power back to the building.
So good.
So Nurse Joy can actually transport this room.
I totally forgot.
It's an entire room of Pokeballs that she's like trying to save. So
it was cool seeing all the Pikachu too, because we know there's only one Pikachu, but it's just cool seeing other Pikachu.
Yes, and you could tell that they were not the same Pikachus; they were different Pikachus. You could just tell.
So while they're transporting these Pokeballs, that's when Coughing and Ekans break through the door and kind of barrel over like this giant shelf of Pokeballs, and they just go flying all over the place. And a whole bunch spills onto the floor in front of Ash and Misty. And Nurse Joy's like, oh my gosh, save the Pokeballs. And Misty's, being, her personality's already starting to come out so hard. She's like, this is a time of war. Don't just hold them, throw them. So Ash, goes into his whole thing, and they have really cool animation of him picking up some Pokeballs and chucking them at Coughing and Ekans. The first one he throws is a Pidgey. And the Pidgey steps up to Ekans, I think.
Yes, and gets scared.
And gets wrecked. And then the second ball he throws is empty. And then Nurse Joy's like, oh, yes, some of them are empty.
Yeah.
It's like
you could have told me that before,
And then the next one he throws has a Rattata who gets demolished by Ekans. Gets demolished by Coughing immediately. It's a total bad scene.
Yeah, so Misty decides, that's it. I'm stepping up to the plate. I'm taking over. She grabs, which I thought...
Yeah, this is a point of contention, so we'll have to do some research here.
Now, I'm not sure if it's her Pokeball or not, but she grabs a Pokeball, she makes this big to-do, and she throws her Pokeball, and out flops Goldeen.
And it's like the classic Goldeen, like high reverb, Goldeen. It's the best. Oh man, I gotta edit that sound clip.
Flopping on the floor.
It's so good. And in true anime style, they show Jesse and James, and their face kind of like in one frame goes to like this, ridiculous puzzled look like for reals.
Like, are you kidding me with this?
And then they cut back to Misty, and she's just like, Goldeen, return. like she did her part. But it's a bad scene. So now, they don't know what to do. Jesse and James are in the room with them now, with Coughing and Ekans. And that's when they actually stumble over Misty's busted bike. Pikachu wakes up and sees what's going on, kind of gives Ash a nod, and it looks really bad. It looks really bad for them.
Well, actually, yeah. Actually, Pikachu sees what's going on, and he gives a little Pikachu call out to the other Pikas.
Yep.
And the other Pikachus hear him. They come over, they unite, and they blast off and shock Team Rocket.
Yeah, and with a hilarious animation.
Coughing. Yeah, a nice big shock, and they get fried, but Meowth misses the shock.
Right.
So he comes over and starts talking trash, like, "Oh, all right,
yeah.
Let's see you guys take me on." So that's when Pika starts communicating with Ash for the first time. Like, all right,
Pikachu's like, Pika Pika, and Ash is like, oh, Pika Pika.
Yeah, all right, sure.
It's like when Han
Pika
talks
power?
to Chewie.
Okay, exactly.
It's like just gets it. But yeah, like they immediately got it where, it seems like Pikachu's got a plan.
And Ash is actually starting to understand what Pikachu needs. Because Pikachu's just obviously can say Pikachu, so he's got to determine what each Pikachu means.
It's funny. It's funny. But then Misty's busted bike is next to him. It has an electric light that's shining, like faintly. And Pikachu, what he does communicate with Ash is he ultimately needs a power source. He needs more power so he can take care of Meowth. So Ash's interpretation of that is, let me flip over this busted bike and somehow pretend that this is a simulated generator. And Pikachu jumps on the front, gets on top of this little headlamp thing. Ash is pedaling, on this upside down busted bike like a bat.
Yep, and the light is getting brighter, so he's generating power somehow from this busted bike. And Pika takes it.
Yep.
And
Thundershock right in Meowth's face in the grill.
Yeah.
And it's, but it hits everybody again. And it's like, it's the greatest thing ever because it's this prolonged animation where they're doing like this 80s style, like framed, like 80s style music video frames of everyone getting shocked, and then they throw the trolling in because then they throw in Pikachu smiling as he's shocking. It's just like this cute Pikachu face.
He's so happy. He's so proud of himself. It's so funny.
They're tiling it all around. Then they cut to the outside of the Pokemon Center, and there's like this Hiroshima explosion, like mushroom cloud. Like everyone should be completely dead. It's hilarious.
It's like how is everyone not completely dead. And then you see, floating in the background, there goes Team Rocket in the Meowth balloon. Like, how? How did you get out of that?
Because there has to be episode 3.
Of course.
Right. But it's hilarious because so the whole place explodes from this, bicycle-powered thunder shock. But again, Ash and Pikachu save the day, but they destroy the Pokemon Center. So we see Team Rocket kind of hanging on by a thread, onto their rope that they lowered themselves down in from the balloon. But I guess a piece of shrapnel or something takes out the Meowth balloon itself. And you would think they would say, their famous line, the blasting off the speed of light. But I guess that hasn't come into play yet. And they just kind of do the same thing where they fly away into the background. There's no little asterisk, there's no little star.
Yeah.
And they don't say it, but it's a funny little, premonition of the style of how the episodes are going to close going forward. But that was hilarious. And then they show Nurse Joy down in the rubble.
Yeah.
And it's this rubble of the Pokemon Center, and there's still a desk and a working computer.
And one working computer.
And it's just absolutely hilarious.
So good.
It's really, really funny. It was a great ending. And again, this episode felt like it went so fast. Like it just cooked through the whole thing. And then you have this big explosion at the end, and it's super climactic, and it's just like, whoa, it's over.
It's to be continued.
Of course. But they show Ash walking away with Misty and Pika through Viridian Forest. That's what Nurse Joy was saying on the computer, was telling, getting information. Ash is onto Pewter City, and he has to travel through Viridian Forest, and that's when he encounters a Caterpie. Now, I absolutely loved this Caterpie scene because the video games, even going back to probably, I don't know if it did it in, Red, Blue, Yellow days, but not too far after that. Like when you got into an encounter in the game, it was like your Pokemon and the enemy Pokemon were on these two different planes of motion, and they would kind of slide left and right, and it looked really cool. It was a really cool dynamic thing, and it mimics that in the anime, where the Caterpie is in one set of focus and Ash is in the other. It's a very, very dynamic scene. I loved it. And, it gets super serious. The animation goes high frame rate, high res. And you see Ash twist the hat around, pull out a Pokeball. He's like, I got this.
The twinkle in his eye.
Yeah, he's all fired up. Gets into a big, baseball throw. And freeze frame mid throw. And the announcer comes on, will he catch Caterpie?
Yeah.
It's really funny. And
I didn't want it to end there. Like, that was just like, oh!
I'm telling you, this episode felt really quick. So I hope you guys watched along with it, because this was a good one, and we're starting to see the characters develop, which is a lot of fun. We're getting to see the personality of Misty and Team Rocket and the dynamic between Ash and Pikachu. So a lot of stuff is already happening, and we're only 42 minutes in or whatever it is. So it was really cool. I liked it. I liked it.
Yeah.
Very different tone and pacing than episode 1, but it's going to be interesting to see how it continues, how they hold this kind of pace.
Yeah.
It definitely had a different tone than episode 1.
Yeah. Episode 1 was definitely more exciting. This was exciting, but it was,
Are you kidding me? That explosion?
The
crazy.
explosion was great, but before
there was
that,
a big sense of fear
that,
in the first one. I get it.
You know what it is? I think it was when we first got introduced to Team Rocket, I was underwhelmed by it because I love Team Rocket.
You're expecting them.
I love them so much, and I wanted them to be what they are to me now from the very beginning. Obviously, they're not. They have to develop it into their personality.
What you remember, and that's the interesting thing, because it's been so long. You only remember them really at the end of when we stopped watching, because that would be the freshest memory, of them. Also, first commercial break in this episode was the Who's That Pokemon was coughing. Mm-hmm. So that's awesome. But yeah, so it was a good episode, and I'm looking forward to the next one. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one too.
All right, so we're going to cover a couple other things really quick. I want to talk about the TCG, the card game. We briefly touched last week about Melissa's horrendous luck with pulling Pokemon cards. So here in my hands is 2 Pokemon boosters, and we're going to open them right now.
Which I was not expecting for him to do this to me
I've been sitting on these Fates Collide boosters for, I don't know, weeks.
I kind of don't want to do this.
We're going to do this right now. We're both going to open one right now, and I'm going to post our pulls on Twitter and Instagram so you guys can check them out, see what we have.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to see.
All right, I'm going to go first. We got Shauna Trainer, Servine, Energy Reset Trainer, Solosis, Vullaby. I got a Coughing, that's fitting. Mincino, a Diglett, and a Delphox Break, and a Snorlax Rare. So I got a break.
Oh my god, that's so ridiculous.
So good luck beating that.
Alright, so I got a Spoink, a Minccino, a Spirit Link, Explode, a Cincino, and a Special Energy, a Larvitar, a Cottony, and a Coughing. Yeah, so my special was
your reverse was okay. So your reverse was the Audino Spirit Link, and your rare is what, the Coughing? You did good. No. Exploud. It's a stage 2. But she didn't get anything shiny. I got some shiny stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So, and this is exactly why I don't play anymore.
So, yeah, well, come on, get over it. So, we're going to do this every time. Because... No. What do you mean? You get to open an extra booster every week? You're going to say no? But we're going to do this every time, and we're going to keep track of our rare pulls, and we'll see how bad it is for you. Always.
That's nice.
Okay, so keep going.
Alright, so you guys got to start sending out the good vibes. All right, yeah. Send out the good vibes that I start pulling some good stuff here. I need them. I need them. So
August is the next month for Pokemon stuff that is going down. It is the month of Arceus. So there's a mythical box out for Arceus. And they're also doing a digital distribution, code distribution at GameStop, I think through the 24th of August. And you get a level 100 Pokemon via code download. So make sure you get a hold of that. A new Sun and Moon trailer came out. I'm going to refer to our friends over at Nintendo Wire. They put up a great article about some of the new stuff. We saw a feature of Pokemon riding in here in this new trailer. We saw a trainer riding on a really cool saddled up Charizard, among others. We learned about Z moves and how all these trainers have this really crazy, ultra attacks that kind of are powered through crystals that they wear in their bracelets, and it's like really bizarre, but these attacks are like massive, like huge explosions and things like that. So we learned about that move. And then there was a whole bunch of Pokemon released for the first time. I love Gumshoes, the Donald Trump Pokemon. Now, Young Goose was the basic form. He evolves into Gumshoes, which now goes to a biped, stand-up walking, and it really looks like angry Donald Trump. So I love him. I'm not a Trump supporter in any way, but I love that this looks like Donald Trump. Mudbray is also cool, and Oricorio. I loved Oricorio. So
they're so cute.
What we're seeing with Sun and Moon is now, different forms of Pokemon. So now Oricorio is someone that's being, that is introduced here for the first time with 4 different forms. It's 4 different, forms based on different Hawaiian flowers. But of course, they're going to relate this all to, the Alola region and not Hawaii, but they're all based on that. And then we see some of our, Gen 1 Pokemon come back with Alolan variations. So we see a Sandshrew, Sandslash, Vulpix, and Ninetales in this really, really nice, all white, kind of white with blue highlights, this kinda style.
Icy looking.
Kind of icy, which is very, very cool. And it's all about, I guess they're going to be located in like the snowy mountain caps of the Alola. So, very, very cool looking. Tons of stuff. And this was August 1st that this trailer came out. So a bunch of new stuff. And then this one probably had the most talk on social media, but it was the Alolan Executor.
He's just so cool looking.
So it's like you love him, I love him, and many people on the internet hate it. Like, really, are you kidding me? Because they hate it. So they took an Executor and they made his neck like giraffe length, like a palm tree, and it looks
He's a
absolutely
total
hilarious.
Palm tree.
It's hilarious.
He's a complete palm tree, dude. He's a palm tree.
He was a palm tree before, and now he's just like, now he actually looks like one. But it's the internet is leans towards like this is an abomination. I think it's hilarious. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's good, but
I think it's awesome.
So again, Sun and Moon stuff. We're getting it frequently. I'd imagine that every month or so they're going to be dropping, significant stuff as we get closer to release. Let's see what else. Pokemon GO. So we talked about how we were playing. Now this is an interesting one. So this latest update that came out that has caused the world to lose their minds completely about the mechanics of the game completely changing, and capture rate and flee rate changing for Pokemon. I noticed this hardcore where Pidgeys are harder to catch, the physics on the ball, the depth of field is different, like things are different.
Things are definitely different, but I don't think it's harder to catch them.
That is crazy. We went through like 150 Pokeballs on Friday night.
Well, now it just seems now where before it was all the Pokemon were the same size. If you threw the Pokeball one way every single time, if you could have a perfect throw every single time. Now, the way that it is, it's almost like the depth of field of where you have to throw the Pokeball changes depending on the size of your Pokemon that you're capturing. Yeah. So it makes more sense. I don't know, but to me, it didn't seem like it makes it harder.
You didn't lose your mind like trying to capture Pidgeys and they're escaping out of the ball 50 times and they're like a 14 CP?
No.
So I would face that all the time. So I would see Weedles or my normal Pokemon now CP range is probably like 4 to 550. I'm seeing just normal wild Pokemon. They come at that, but every so often I'll get they're really low, and it could be like a 30 CP Pidgey. And the thing will break out like 4 times. And then on the 5th time, I'll be like, I don't care. Berry, Great Ball. Boom. He pops out and escapes and runs. And it's just like, you want to.
That gives me Poke
Rage. Bad. It's bad. Like, we need to Periscope that. Because it's bad. Because I get so mad.
Well, that was like me last night at the Pokestops, not being able to.
Yeah. I don't think this has to do with the update, but, I'm sure everyone is kind of experience this, but when you're trying to capture a Pokestop and it allows you to spin the coin, but either it says try again later or nothing happens, where you're standing right next to it. It's not a proximity issue.
It's just spinning, and it's not spitting out your prizes, and you're standing there waiting like, all right, what's happening? So you exit it out, and then you click on the picture again, and you spin it, and nothing's happening.
The people you're with are trying to walk down to the next Pokestop, and you're still at the old one because
because I refuse to leave. So I'm like, give me a second, I gotta restart the game, still not giving it to me, or even worse. You restart the game, and then it says that you received the Pokestop, but for a fact know that your inventory has not changed.
Yes, yeah. That was great. Oh, and then Poke Rage. One of the other things that was happening with this latest update, and I'm glad it happened to you so we could talk about it, was this identity switch glitch.
Oh, yeah.
Where, people were capturing Pokemon, and it could be like a 43 CP Weedle, and they capture it. And when they look into their inventory under recent, it'll change identities and be something completely different. Someone had posted that they had caught a Pidgey and it turned into a Charizard. Madness was going on, but no one I knew personally had experienced it. And then the other day, you're looking in your inventory.
Yeah, and he had just told me about it. And actually, you had just told me about it. I don't know if it was that night. And I was like, oh, well, me and Josh went out. And we went Pokemon this morning. Let me check mine. I open up my Pokédex and start scrolling through it, and all of a sudden, Geodude is in my Pokédex. I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, how did that get there?" And he reminded me, "Don't forget there is that glitch."
Yeah, so it's that was very strange, and of course, it had to be Geodude, my favorite Pokemon of all time.
Yes.
But I didn't experience it, but. I was able to see firsthand, and it showed, it had a timestamp and all that stuff, and
and it was weird,
But it wasn't in your journal.
It wasn't in my journal.
Wasn't in the journal.
Yeah.
But very bizarre. So, if you guys have experienced that, let us know. Let us know on social media. I would love to know, like, what you thought you caught and what it ended up being. I think it's pretty interesting how that happens. But all right, so we're pretty much wrapping up now. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. we really enjoyed this episode. Like we said, we've been Pokemon Go freaks. I hope you guys can join us, in this new Pokemon Go metagame tournament that I'm going to be putting together. Please check out our Facebook page, check out Twitter. In the next week or so, I'm going to be plastering it everywhere. I think I'm going to be calling it Go Pokemon Go. And it's just going to be a lot of fun. It's just going to be a way for us to kind of play Pokemon Go separately and do our own thing, but then be able to share the experience with others by comparing, our rankings and comparing, our trainer levels and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Keep an eye out for that. But I'm good, unless you got anything else.
No, I'm good. I hope you guys enjoyed listening.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace.
What's up, everyone? Ken here, and I want to say thank you for checking out episode 2 of Gotta Watch 'Em All. The show can be reached at gottawatchemall.com, where you can find our links to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and more. You can also shoot us an email at gottawatchemallpodcast@gmail.com. I want to send this very special shout out to our good friend and designer Seth Hay, who created our awesome logos and website. He's worked with and has helped many, many people in the Toys to Life and gaming space, and I recommend you guys check him out over at sethhay.com. Also want to send a shout out to Chipacrit, who's the artist that you're hearing on the way in and out of our podcast. Be sure to pick up his record Wordplay over at chipacrit.com. Stay connected with us over the next week or so. We're going to be announcing details on our Go Pokemon Go League and competition. And finally, check out toysforgames.com to learn about all the great podcasts and content on the network. Thanks again, trainers. This episode is to be continued.